finally got a day. It's warm enough to really check these guys out. So far, fingers crossed, all our colonies, there's 5 of them total, have survived this winter, which would be awesome. Would love to split these guys a bunch and keep working with these genetics because they seem like really great bees. Got them from a student of Kirk Webster's who runs Lemon Fair apiaries. I'm forgetting his name right now. This year, for the first time, against my intuition, I tried what Kirk Webster has seemed to have very good success with, and his kind of diaspora of beekeepers in cold climate Vermont, wet cold climate, which is a feed bag, kind of like a poly. I guess it's a polypropylene. I'm not exactly sure. It's these white, feed bag material going down with then a piece of insulation, and you leave it just enough of an edge so there's a slight gap there. Basically, I just pried the end open a little. You can see that little notch for a gap. And then you leave it. He likes to, I did it just the way he does. This is the first time that I'm just going to copy someone who has way more success and more experience than me. Hold on, I think my video is vertical by mistake. So just copying what someone else has done who's done it for way longer than me. I usually don't like to work that way, but got to try it. Feed bag, the polystyrene, pink board. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that is kind of moist right here. There is some moisture right in this area that I'm feeling. And this hive is the only hive that has moisture at the entrance, and I can kind of reach in when the bees are sleeping or quiet. And the bottom board is really wet in this hive. The others have the worry tops that I've told you guys about in the past, which are the insulated quilt tops, the Austrian style, which I don't know, I like. But he had an interesting point when I took a field day with him last year, which is that bees need water. So he almost flipped the whole condensation thing on its head for me for a moment, saying, well, you don't want it too dry, is kind of what he was getting at. He didn't say that directly, but he made it seem like, maybe a little condensation wasn't a bad thing. But I don't know, the bottom board of this one colony is wet. It's the only one. Oh, sweet, I got a mouse. Okay, I was wondering where all these traps went. Mice are, man, they're gnarly for bees. I've been setting traps. Kirk actually poisons them. He's like super sensitive husbanding of animals, but he can't F around with mice, so he actually puts out poison. I don't think I could bring myself to put out poison because it's just going to go out into the landscape. And this is our water, we live on our water. So, and for other reasons, non-target impact. So here are these guys, and there definitely seems to be a lot of them. Most of the spaces between the frames seem occupied. Hi guys, gals. Sweet, there's a lot of living bees in there. I hope they have food. I'm not going to pull any frames out and check because they're not flying that much. And if they're not that awake, I'm not going to mess with them that much. Go back down there. So I'm going to put this insulation back on. It doesn't seem that wet in here. That's why I wanted to check this one. So, yeah. But the worry tops, I'll show you in a second for those of you who haven't seen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on this way now, which is for more ventilation because it's now warmer. Has that curve cut in it. So they'll really have more airflow, which I think they'll appreciate this time of year. But see, hydrophobic materials sketch me out. My natural building background makes me not want to use foam anywhere with bees. But again, maybe a little condensation is a good thing. But hydrophobic materials are condensation surfaces, even though they're very high performance from a thermal perspective. You want hydrophilic materials if you don't want condensation, which I know sounds counterintuitive. Oh, I couldn't help myself. I actually just folded this back a little bit because of the moisture. I was a little concerned, and I pulled back the feed bag material. So I used to use, until this year, I never used any feed bag material, and I just used worry tops. This year I added feed bag material on all of them. I just went with Kirk Webster's approach, partly, and then on one of them fully with the styrofoam, this one. But otherwise I kind of hybridized his and the worry approach. You know, I don't love the feed bag there, but who knows why they live this winter. It could be the bees, it could be the method, it could be both. Impossible to know for sure with the sample sizes I'm working with. But I just pushed the feed bag material this way and pulled some of this material back, the insulation, so there's a direct line now between the bee space and outdoor air, so there's direct ventilation that can come out. And I think I saw not only a lot of bees in there, but a lot of food. I think I saw capped honey, excuse me. So sweet, it would be awesome. Lots of bees and lots of honey still in the hive in April, after they haven't flown except for once or twice in 5 months, is pretty awesome. Maybe 50 on some of them. If there's big rocks, some of them probably get to be about 80. Nice thing about the worry tops is you can check on them without disturbing them that much, which is really cool. So I'll show you what it looks like on the top. Oh, just natural materials, insulative, high R value materials. I like wool and I like seeds, like seed hulls. Excuse me, not seeds. I wouldn't want to attract rodents that much. I'm amazed rodents also don't get in here and start living in here. I mean, I do make the side of these tops pretty tight. There's an air gap on the right and left, as you can see right there. But you know, rodents could squeeze in there, bite in their way in there easily if they wanted to. Planer shavings work. They seem to absorb more moisture, is what I found. I just feel this with my hands. Oh, this is moist. So I checked this a couple months ago during a thaw, and it was pretty dry. Now this feels really moist, especially further down. The top's dry. Hey, Jingles! But yeah, it's pretty moist. I'm not terribly concerned because it's the end of the year here. Rice hulls are awesome, wild rice hulls, wool. I think I'd rather use those in planer shavings. They seem to have held more moisture in the past, or sawdust too. The hulls themselves, see the bottom layers, rice hulls? Yeah, that's awesome. That stuff does not feel very moist. And I don't think it is. There might be a difference between what feels moist and what is, but the shavings above feel very moist. Smell also could tell you a lot. I don't smell any mold or anything funky. And then one thing I learned the first year I did this is put down some old like silk long underwear or wool long underwear, because the dust, you're just dusting the bees if you just put it on a window screen, which is what I did first. That's what's on the bottom of these. I can't pull this box off. I would, it's warm enough today, and I like a lot of it, like inches, many inches. What I might do actually to get it to vent now more, I actually had done that late winter, is open a little crater so the air can really get out in the middle. And I like to jam up the sides and make sure that not lots of air isn't just escaping in the corners, and then has to filter through the insulation. Then it's going to condense as it reaches the condensation point, but then it can dry out. So it's, you know, hydrophilic approach. I don't want to pull this tar paper off just yet. We still have some cold, windy periods ahead, and these bees aren't really flying, so I don't want to wake them up too much. I don't know how much food is left in these hives. I put out a tray excuse me, a frame and cut some of the honey off, and so I ate some, and then it's exposed, so it's not much work for them. But I did that in Moortown recently too on a warm day, and they didn't make use of it. So I'm trying to feed them, but maybe they don't need it or don't want it right now. This has worked for us. 3 years, cross our fingers. 4 years running now. 2 wires, top hot wire and a bottom, and I connect them once the snow melts back. I just connect them with a vertical. I take the bottom wire off quickly so it's not just grounding out in snow all winter. And then try to make sure it's really hot this time of year. It always, if I keep the branches off it well and the grass down around it, it's over 10,000 volts, so it's super hot. At one time was barefoot, doing something with it, and touched it with my chin, and I didn't know where I was for a little while. It's really strong. Being barefoot didn't help. It's also a hard fence, so it's there's the it's a physical barrier and an electric barrier, and I don't know, the more the better with the amount of bears we have around here. Definitely dogs have touched it. You can hear them from far away when they touch that bottom wire.
They're just burning up energy right now, huh?
Yeah, this is when people lose hives too, because they're awake and they're using a lot of energy in stores, but there is no food in the landscape really at all. Look here. Corn, fucking rip and pay. I'm about to back. What's up? Mr. Bob! Come on, come on!